Welcome back, everybody, to the Voices for Blogging podcast. As always, here in Hawaii, I'm Steve Lee, and over in LA is Royce Hamano. You can find us on the Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and on Instagram at Voices for Blogging. And this is Toto with Hold the Line, a little tagline that was kind of tossed around a lot in the last 2 weeks within the stock market, and you could almost say even in the crypto world. Because, Royce, what happened in the crypto world in the last 36 hours?
Nothing.
Nothing huge. Just Ethereum broke out to an all-time high over 1,600.
I really thought the song that you were going to be playing was "We Are the Champions."
Not yet. That's at Ethereum 2000. Well, again, it is continuing on a little joking around about. And again, feel bad for the people that might have lost some money in that GameStop trade. But
that was awful.
The words "hold the line" was all over Twitter, and there's that one video for the Wolf of Wall Street, and he even made that little spoof video, which was kind of great actually.
That was freaking hilarious, man. I don't know what you're talking about. That was genius. That was the best use of Cameo I think I've ever seen.
I think so. It was so entertaining. But, again, people got hurt in that trade. That thing traded down below 50 at one point today. It was near 500 at this high last week.
Yeah.
And be careful what you play with. Be careful who leads you down a certain road, because sometimes they may not have the same intent that you do.
The dump will be just as fast as the pump.
Many times the dump is faster.
But hey, you know what? The good news is that I saw an alert just tonight that Robinhood is re-enabling trading for everything. So we're good.
Looks like some of the fluff has definitely been taken out of a couple of those stocks. We'll see.
Yeah, they were actually they're doing a lot of promotion right now for Robinhood, and I saw one of their ads on Twitter today, one of their promoted tweets, and it was basically saying like, we're for trading for the people and all that other stuff that they've been saying for a while. And if you go and look at the comments,
I'm sure they're just getting ripped.
Everybody's ripping them. Everybody's ripping them. They handled this just so poorly. Their crisis management team, they need a new one.
Yeah, and what gets lost in that is, TD Ameritrade, did a similar thing, but they don't get as much bad press as Robinhood's getting, because don't you think some of that's just because of what Robinhood was kind of making themselves out to be when they first came out?
100%, dude. It's the same thing as the Tiger Woods thing, right? He branded himself as a squeaky clean dude. Everything was about that. He had his family, right? He had everything. And then what happened? It turns out that he wasn't that guy. And they just tore him to shreds, man. Which is so sad. I mean, that's what America kind of does, right? They build everybody up, and then as soon as something bad happens, they just rip them apart.
In this scenario, they built themselves up, though, right? I mean, this is a persona they created for themselves. And then they go and pull off what they pulled off once AMC, GameStop, BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, all those Nokia, all the companies that have been struggling over the last, 5 to 6 to 10 years, have been relatively irrelevant. And these things happen, and all of a sudden here they are looking out for their bottom line and their risk management. I don't know what's going on in those meetings. I don't know how these decisions were made. But, I think TD Ameritrade got off really easy. And funny.
They totally did. TD Ameritrade did. Anyone else who, did the same thing where they had to limit or stop trading in these particular stocks, they got off scot-free.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because TD Ameritrade is now Charles Schwab. They're all one company now. So, it's a pretty big pass to get. Because Schwab used to be the brokerage for the people. They still are. That's part of what they talk about. They're the discount broker. They were, in many ways, almost the original discount broker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happening in, obviously, those back offices and in those meetings. You know, Robinhood was in a tough position. It just seems like if they had come clean and talked about what exactly was going on, they probably would have had a more positive result. But they kind of hand waved, and the CEO's been kind of hand waving. I mean, look, the whole situation is horrible. There's no good answers. But you know, I think they could have handled it a little bit better. But you know, again, it's a tough situation.
It reminds me of the Senate hearings for steroids. You know, when I sit there watching Rafael Palmeiro wag his finger at people.
I'm not here to talk about the past.
I'm just saying.
I'm not here to talk about the past.
There's a bunch of cheaters out there. Someone who can't get in the Hall of Fame and didn't get in again. You know, so I'm just saying.
Oh, look, I think a lot of those guys were juicing. Some of them just didn't get caught.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
That's the word I hear on the street from some folks involved in Major League Baseball.
100%. Gotta have the goods. If you don't got the goods in these guys, then hey, it is what it is.
But I mean, also, if you have $100 million contract on the line, you know, guys are hitting 40, 50 home runs, hitting 300. Like, what do you do?
Well, I mean, again, it just comes down to who you are and what you're about, and it is what it is, man. What happened. You know, I can't sit here and tell you that I don't think there's people out there cheating in the same way now, just with different compounds.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is. It's sports.
You still got to hit the ball. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but you know,
pitch.
your body. When your body's juiced up and when you do hit the ball, it will go farther.
Right.
So yeah. So I'm just saying it is what it is. But it's fun to you know, the baseball writers are obviously making a statement by not putting anyone in the Hall of Fame this year.
I honestly I think that's ridiculous. I just,
it is because otherwise
those guys should
put
be in
in
the Hall of Fame.
The whole era, you're gonna keep them all out of the Hall. That's gonna be. I don't think that's gonna hold up. The Veterans Committee will probably put them all in.
Definitely. I mean, the 90s, you know, 2000, early 2000s. It was a time of stats where, I mean, things were inflated, right? I mean, some of these numbers these guys put up, they're ridiculous. But, you know, those guys, I think, that are on the fringe, those guys are going to be debatable, right? Like Palmeiro, you know, guys who hit well for a long time, hit pretty good for a long time, and just compiled numbers. You know, I think that, you know, there's arguments to be made there whether they get in or they don't, right? But guys like Bonds, guys like Clemens, like, you can't deny that those guys should be in the Hall of Fame. There's just no way around it.
I mean, the age-old argument with Bonds and Clemens is before the suspected beginning of their use, they already had a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, they are great.
There's no doubt. To me, there's no doubt about that. You know, Rafi's a little different, right? Rafael Palmeiro was, you know, he hit 300 consistently for a while, but he would probably only hit mostly 18 home runs, you know, 20 home runs, 26 home runs, and all that. But you know, he was pretty consistent for a long time. From 1993 on, I'm looking at one of my screens here. He hit 23, 37, 39, 39, 38, 43, 47, 39, 47, 43. I mean, that's some pretty good consistency.
That's
on the power side, on top of the fact that his average was always stellar.
Yep.
So,
but I think the question is that in the age of those, like looking at it in the context of that era, you know, is that good enough? I don't know. I think it's debatable.
569 home runs, career batting average of 288. Those are pretty good numbers. It looks bad when the last image of him you see him doing is with his glasses pulled down, wagging his finger, that he didn't do it, and obviously that not really true. So, but talking about inflative numbers, let's bring it back to our crypto talk, because I'm watching Ethereum on my other screen here as it creeps over that 1660 level right now.
Dude, how many screens you got, man? Jeez.
I got about 3 screens going right now, man. This is what my life has been about.
You're
Kind of keeping an eye on crypto, trading my options in the stock market right now.
I never
You know.
realized that you're a real trader until today, dude. When you don't got so many screens up.
Hey, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of research that needs to be done about the Super Bowl, which we'll get to later in today's show.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's worth talking a lot about what's happening in the crypto world because this is a breakout that, for people that typically only follow Bitcoin, they might be missing what's going on here with Ethereum. And this is something you and I have been talking about for the last couple months, that, a move in Ethereum is overdue, and here it is.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's been a long, long journey back from
Hmm.
the previous bull run, I guess, in like 2017.
Right.
So,
How did you manage that? How did you manage your Ethereum position from the peak in 2017 to the lull and the build back until today? What did you do that you found kind of worked out really well? Like
hold,
how'd you manage your
pray,
position?
pray, hold. uh, I mean, the belief was always there, right? The belief in Ethereum and what it could do was always there. When, crypto prices were down so much, like in 2019 and even in 2018, it was really just opportunity. We just really looked at it, or I just really looked at it as opportunities to buy and to accumulate to some extent. And then there were other things that I had invested into as well at that time, other new projects and things like that. So that's kind of what I was doing during that time, and it was really just building out our business in Vegas, and kind of just keeping an eye on where things were heading. I mean, I had taken a look at in 2019 about all of these lending products that were being built, all these decentralized finance things that were being built, and it was really in the early stages still.
Hmm.
It didn't look as good or it didn't work as good as it does today, but people just kept working. People just kept the faith, and here we are today, finally.
In some ways, not that different from the .com story from 1999 and 2000.
It's the exact same thing.
Exact same thing is having lived through all these things now. What you just described to me reminds me of witnessing and trading and investing through that turbulent time, and that people that kept the faith and saw which technologies were relevant, you knew which companies to still put your money behind and just ride out the storm, and you came out in the clear. You
Yeah.
look at a company like Amazon. If you held on to them with the idea that they only were ever going to sell books and music, you missed out a tremendous run that took them down to, I believe, in the .com time. I want to say it took them down to like 30. You're looking at a stock right
Yeah.
now that's 3,300.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
It's
So much
crazy.
money that the CEO decided to retire.
Hey, richest man on the market supposedly. So,
Might
in
as well
in the
enjoy.
public market anyway.
Yeah, he might as well enjoy what he's got. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I was reading some things that talked about how he hasn't done much in philanthropy, that maybe he might be like how Bill Gates has been in retirement, be out there, do a lot of philanthropic work, and just kind of push envelopes in other directions other than e-commerce.
The jury is still out.
It is 100%. But it's been interesting, man, the last couple days.
It's been really interesting. I mean, it's been everything's been up. All of these decentralized finance has been up. Everything across the board, crypto's been up. Bitcoin's been up.
Right.
Uh, the difference I think about this time versus 2017 is that during the ICO craze in 2017, a lot of people would get into Bitcoin first, and
Hmm.
then from Bitcoin it would go out to Ethereum and all these other
Right.
coins and
Right.
ICOs. I think what's happening this time though is that because a lot of the innovation and a lot of the value is being built around decentralized finance, which for the most part is primarily built on Ethereum.
Ethereum. It puts
You're
it front
seeing,
and
yeah,
center. Front and
Ethereum
center.
now is kind of that main focal point where people are getting into crypto, and then from there they go into other coins. And Bitcoin is kind of on its own, right? Because it's more of a standalone, and it's not related to decentralized finance, kind of like everything that's built on Ethereum is.
Not at all. I
That
mean, you asked me before we got on the show, like, am I still trading around the other ones? And I'm like, not so much. I've cashed out on a lot of those things, and I'm just sitting in this Ethereum and watching it move. Litecoin feels like the speculative of the three majors. That thing just kind of moving up and down, and for no real good reason. But we'd be remiss though, Royce, where if we're talking about decentralized finance, we'd be remiss if we don't mention a negative that happened today, that you maybe can expand upon.
Yeah. So first of the year, basically, today there was an exploit of the Yearn Finance, one of the vaults, and 11 million in one of the vaults got drained. And this person who took advantage of the exploit ended up coming away with close to $3 million. So typically, if you've been around the space for a long time, you'll see that, from time to time, there are these hacks or exploits that happen, in different projects or on exchanges. And what usually happens after that is that either that particular coin will face a big sell-off because of the exploit or the hack, or the exchange will lead to, both of them could lead to actually an entire, crypto market sell-off because of, all of the concern around these hacks and things like that. But what happened this time was that even after this Yearn exploit that was taken advantage of, Yearn was only down a very small amount, and the rest of the market basically didn't take a dive either. It just basically stayed flat or up, which is a really interesting signal of confidence, I think, in the market, and maybe just the fact that people understand that because this is such a new space, things like that will happen. The dev team actually quickly responded to the exploit once they saw that it was happening. In fact, I saw one of the developers post on Twitter that within 10 minutes, basically, they mitigated the issue so that they wouldn't lose additional funds, which is really fast. And those guys are one of the more responsive teams in the space. So it was really a good sign that Yearn wasn't down that much, and
Right.
the market didn't take a dive either following this exploit, where in the past, 2017, 2018, 2019, you would have saw things
Chain
take.
reaction.
Yeah, you would have seen
A
a
chain
chain reaction.
reaction, yeah. Well, on that note of what you're talking about, I'm looking at one of my other screens, and you can laugh now. I'm guessing I'm watching it. I'm looking at the chart of Yearn, which is YFI, and it's a steep drop off from 34,800 down to 30,000. And it was such a steep drop. It also was bought up real quick, and in a short amount of time, it got pushed up to 31,500. And right now, I'm looking at it. It's at 32,300. So the resiliency of the market, like you're kind of starting to point out, is it shows you that either the crowd's a little more educated what's going on, a little more resilient to what's going on. Maybe more stronger hands hold these things now, not just speculative buyers, perhaps. But it's interesting to watch this bad news not blow up the market in a negative way.
Yeah. As they say on the Wall Street Bets Reddit, diamond hands. Diamond hands.
Yeah, that guy is twiddling his fingers, his diamond hand fingers on the money he made on GameStop.
More power to him.
If he can mobilize that many people, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see all the lawsuits that come out of that whole fiasco.
And what kind of regulations the SEC tries to put on stuff like this? I don't know how you can. None of these guys are professional traders. This is just public market stuff.
Yeah, it's really
It's really interesting.
It's going to be really interesting to see. Yeah, it really is. I don't know how it's all going to end up, but I got my popcorn.
Hey, many would say that hedge funds, they have dinners, idea dinners, where a bunch of hedge funds get together and they talk about their short ideas, stocks they're going to short. And sometimes they go on cahoots and they all short it at the same time. So how's that any different?
Yeah, it really isn't.
So people are just a little butthurt that they got beat at their own game. But here we are. GameStop is retreated almost completely, and word is that a lot of the trades that have been pulling down the price have been really big blocks, and it looks like the hedge funds are back in shorting it again. It's pretty
Yeah,
fascinating, pretty resilient.
yeah.
Um,
Well, we knew it was gonna happen.
we knew, and it's my cousin and I were talking about buying the 80 puts on for April for GameStop yesterday, just yesterday morning.
Yeah,
We kind of
right.
laughed about it. It was $8, so one contract was $800. We're like, haha, yeah, nah, we're not gonna do it. I guess we should have.
Yeah, I, you know, I mean, $80. There was some risk there still.
Yeah, some risk that it could take off, but I think some of the guys that got burnt, they're not putting money back in. So it looks like the momentum's to the downside right now, and I don't know if it ever recaptures any momentum up. We'll
Yeah,
see though. If Robinhood reopened it, who knows? Who knows? Is there a
I think
second
it's
wave?
I think it's
Yeah,
done. I
I
think
would think so.
there's no reason for it to. I
Well,
mean, then
there
again,
wasn't a reason
it
to
was
be good
yeah, I mean,
either.
yeah, there wasn't.
it,
I take
it
it
was
back.
just somebody rallying everybody together, and the same reason why he said he rallied them together is starting to show itself again. So it'd be interesting. But yeah, exciting times. I just told one of my friends about the fact that I've been on Gemini trading Ethereum for the last couple months, and he didn't realize that it became legal in Hawaii. So he started his account. And if you listen to our episode a couple episodes ago about opening an account, he's going through the same frustrations I did. In the fact that we only could spend $500 right away, and the verification process with the banks take upwards of a week before we can fund the account anymore. So
Wow.
while so you know so he bought some Ethereum right away on Sunday night, and then it took off from there.
Yeah.
And so
It's a
he's
good
all
time to
like,
get in.
"Yay." Yeah, he was like, "Hey, I'm stoked, but I only have $500 worth in the market." But I'm like, "Hey, a gain's a gain." Same thing happened to me. I had to wait a few weeks to buy in, and it all worked out. So we'll see how it all works out. That's something to keep in mind for most people, though, that if you start an account, you usually aren't going to be able to trade a big amount right away on an exchange like Gemini. I don't know how it works on Coinbase because they're not allowed to operate here in Hawaii.
It's the same way. So when I opened my Coinbase account back in like 2016 or 2017, it was the same thing. You had a limited amount of buying power. I could only buy a certain amount of Ethereum at the time too. I think it was maybe like 2K, maybe.
Hmm.
But back then, Ethereum was like $10, so it's a little different. But
That's
yeah,
a that's
you
a
can only buy a little bit amount at a time, and then like as you go through and you validate some data and things like that, like your limits get higher and higher, and as you think trade more, I forget exactly how it works and how I got my. I think I had to request for a higher limit at some point,
mhm.
and that's how I got to the state I am today. But it takes a little while.
Yeah, and you're talking at the infancy of all these things. You were going through that. So even Coinbase themselves, I'm sure, have streamlined their processes probably a lot better than they were before, I would guess. But verification is so important. It's to keep you guys safe. It's a consumer protection thing, and it's a CYA deal for those guys. So it just is what it is, and it's good because it makes people probably watch the market and not get too crazy and jump in all at one time, which probably isn't usually the best move in any form of investing.
Yeah, no.
Pro- Probably not. So, it's good. Study the market and move it, watch how it moves and decide what you can do from there. But I guess let's switch gears then, Royce. I mean, I think that covers a lot of what happened there in the crypto space in the last few days quite a bit. Let's switch gears to, I guess, that other big news or the other big things that's going to happen this weekend. What is that thing called?
Other big news,
Well, what's
man.
happening? I forget. There's
I
something that's
forget.
happening this weekend that we usually have parties with, and
Feels like it's something important.
yeah, I don't know, it involves, I think, a football.
It's gonna be the whatever it is. It's gonna be the saddest one in many years. Not because of the game, but because of the circumstances.
I think that's the shame, right? Because when you look at this game and you look at what could happen at this game,
could be a great game. Yeah.
Fireworks. This game has fireworks written all over it.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
What are you doing for Super Bowl? You watching it at your home by yourself?
So we decided.
If you're doing something illegal, don't tell us.
I will, and then we'll just delete it. No. We decided to kind of do a staycay. So we're gonna go stay. We're going down to Colina and Marriott Beach Club and just hang out for the weekend and just go to the beach, hang out in the sunny weather here. It's great weather right now because it cools down to the 60s right now, and the warmest is at 80. Sky's been pretty clear for the most part. The weather's fantastic right now. So, take advantage of that, hang out. But I did tell my wife that, hey, Sunday though, when the game's on, I'm inside watching the game. That's all. We can do anything else the rest of the weekend. When the game's on, I gotta stay inside.
You're gonna be watching. You're gonna be watching in front of the TV by yourself.
I think that's what's gonna happen. I'll be playing blocks. With my friends virtually. I'm sure I can find a way to get a live bet in here and there throughout the game, and go from there. But it's gonna be a weird one because I'm used to having a big gathering, cooking outdoors, having a great time, drinking way too much. What are you gonna do?
Same thing, except I'll be at home. I haven't had like a really big Super Bowl party in a number of years now. I used to have them all the time. But I think after this, people have been asking, maybe next year I'll have another Super Bowl party like I used to. Maybe not as crazy as those ones before, and maybe a little bit more kid friendly. Mm-hmm. But it's been a while. But that's next year. So this year not gonna be as fun. But I'll be watching.
But the game really looks like it's gonna shape up to be a pretty great game.
I hope so. I mean, I hope it's not. I don't want to watch a blowout, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be high scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it hope it comes down to the last possession.
At some point in time, it looks, it just feels like it's a game that's gonna go back and forth. And you look at the opening line of this. Look at the opening line, and opening line was 3.5 for the Chiefs. Yep. Over under is about 58. Right now, I'm looking at the lines in Vegas, and it's varying from 3 to 3.5 in favor of the Chiefs, and the over under has dropped. I went over the stats in the last time they played, the game where I want to say Tyreek Hill had almost 200 yards receiving in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Both teams had yards per play for both teams were over 7 yards per play.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's going to change very much, especially with everyone for the most part being healthy as far as offensive weapons goes for both teams.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun game. And we've never had this situation where, the host city has had their team in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You talk about them missing out a little bit, not having a whole bunch of fans there. How crazy of a home field advantage would that be to be at home with your fans at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's basically a home game.
It's insane.
That's what it is.
It's insane.
But what is the ruling on fans for this game? Like, are they gonna have social distance or they have zero?
Well, they're letting in healthcare workers that are vaccinated. They're allowed to come into the game. But they definitely didn't want this game to become, a super spreader event, because that would be like the worst pub. I mean, because they're getting pretty good pub for surviving the season. There's been bumps, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I'm on the CBS Sports website right now, and they're saying that the official attendance for the game is going to be 25,000 fans.
Oh, that's so not at least bad, actually.
Yeah, and 30,000 cutouts.
How do we submit a cutout?
Yeah, I think we might have missed that boat, my friend. I'm sure that was something we could have got into before. We would have put our Voices for Blogging logo there, free advertising.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
All the way.
Might have been some free $1 million advertising right there.
So we'll see. We'll see if Tampa Tampa fans finagle a ton of tickets, but those Chiefs fans, they travel well, so it's going to be interesting. But with that, not having that many fans, you know how the Super Bowl usually starts really sloppy. With
Yes.
all the flash bulbs and the hype of the game and all the
Yep.
fans there. And in some ways, guys would say in the Super Bowl, the fan noise is different a lot of times because so much of the crowd typically is corporate crowds. They're not really fans of the teams. They're there on incentive trips. But I feel like this year that might be a little different because Tampa being home. Like if you're a Tampa Bay fan, Tom Brady's your quarterback, you're playing in your stadium. Man, I don't know if there's a price certain Tampa fans wouldn't pay just to be in that stadium.
I wonder what tickets are going for, actually, now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, well, your hands are probably faster than mine. If you want to kind of look that up, I'm sure it's.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to look that up right now.
But I think it's going to be a pretty great game. I think one of the things that's going to be interesting for the Chiefs is if the Buccaneers try to take away Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, watch out for all the stuff underneath. Watch out for a guy like Darrell Williams to kind of catch a lot of balls out of the backfield and just kind of do these 8, 10, 12-yard chunk plays just off of a swing pass. Because at some point there's only so many guys you can throw out in coverage. He's probably my favorite prop bet for the game. Darrell Williams, the backup running back for the Chiefs, has a prop bet for 13.5 yards receiving in a game. I think he might get that on one catch to go over that.
He could. So I'm actually at Ticketmaster right now, and the cheapest ticket that's on sale on Ticketmaster is $4,950.
How many tickets they got out there?
There's quite a few actually. It looks like. I don't know how to see I don't know how to get the total, but it looks like there's quite a few.
Yeah, I'm looking on Vivid Seats and the same thing. Interesting, right? It's just a bunch of upper level seats. So I don't know. When I sit in the upper level, I kind of feel like I should stay away from a row that's lettered Z. That kind of makes me feel like it's the worst seat.
Yeah. No, there's lower. So on Ticketmaster, there's lower level, and they go up to looks like 16 grand right now is the highest I've seen.
For the lower level seats, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because all these upper level seats I'm looking at, I mean, there's quite a bit, but it's one of those things where that's what I'm saying. These Tampa Bay fans.
Oh, how about this, dude?
I don't put it past them to buy some of these tickets and get in there.
Row H, section 136, seats 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
$22K each, dude. There's no opening, man.
Okay.
You ready to go?
You are watching history, Roy. See, Ethereum did get to 1600, right?
Yeah. That's only how many Ethereum is that? Like maybe
you just cash. Yeah. Could you cash out some of your Ethereum and then I'll meet you.
15 Ethereum.
I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. These club level seats, 11 grand. What's the big deal?
40 grand total.
Well, how about this one? The suite. Okay.
Yeah.
You got tickets for a suite. $158,000.
For the suite or for
a suite? For the suite.
Oh, that's all.
To have a luxury suite, $158,000. Bargain.
Maybe,
bargain.
Couple years.
well, Ethereum gets to 30,000, then we can have that conversation. Even then, though, my ethnic biases as far as how I've been reared to kind of think about money would stop me from spending that money on that.
Yeah, no, me too. But again, if you have a whole lot of it, then I don't know.
But it's fascinating. I think I'd be surprised if there's not more Tampa fans in the stands here than Chiefs fans.
Yeah, I mean it's just
the logistics are easier.
Geographic, yeah, it's logistics. It's easier. All right, so let's get into picks, man.
Okay, well I already gave one. I think a really solid prop bet. Super Bowls are really great for prop bets, and you think about the whole game. The Chiefs really burned the Buccaneers a ton in the beginning of that game that they played at Tampa, and I just don't see them allowing those kind of plays to. I mean, they went one-on-one coverage on Tyreek Hill. Like what?
You're not gonna do that in the Super Bowl. For sure.
What were they thinking? I don't know. Unless it was just all a bunch of blown coverages. But then, you can't just put all the attention on Tyreek Hill. You're going to have to do something with Travis Kelce because look at him what could happen in a championship game with Travis Kelce just bombing around all over the place.
Yeah, you're gonna
So
have to put pressure on Mahomes. You're gonna have to disguise coverages. I'm sure they're gonna play. I'm guessing they'll probably play a little Tampa 2, or at least some kind of zone, a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see.
I think one of the things that can't be ignored is Tampa's got a great pass rush.
They
And
do.
in Super Bowls past, and especially when you look at the Chiefs, being out there starting left tackle who tore his Achilles tendon in that game against the Browns. So he's out. And they're out their usual starting right tackle. So they're going to be playing with backup right and left tackles for this game.
Yeah.
At the same time, Patrick Mahomes has some of the best stats of any quarterback if you blitz him. But
Yeah.
one could argue that the Tampa doesn't even need to blitz. You have such a great front four. They run a 3-4, but of course they're going to bring a linebacker on the edge there in Shaquille Barrett. They can put great pressure on him. At the same time, obviously, the tackles being hurt really hasn't hurt KC the whole season.
No, it hasn't, and that's why it's going to be tough, I think, for them to put pressure on Mahomes. But for them to win, they're going to have to do it.
Like, how many times is Andy Reid going to take advantage of that pressure and just throw a bunch of shovel passes, draw plays, all these kind of and he'll do some gadgety plays like he did, and just kind of toy with the defense the whole time.
Yeah.
He's gotten so much better with his play calling over the last few years. It's so masterful at this point.
Well, he has so many weapons.
He does. And a quarterback. Like, are you kidding me?
He can make all the throws.
Any arm slot, stays alive, knows how to get depth, avoids pass rushes. It's somewhere coining this game the passing of the torch.
The biggest weakness I think that KC has is on defense.
They are a big play defense, and they bank on that. So you can get yards against these guys. You can move the ball against these guys, and the Buccaneers proved it in that last game.
Yeah, and that's what Brady's gonna do, right? Both teams have to limit turnovers. Both teams are gonna score. To me, it's gonna come down to last possession, as long as there's no huge turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's gonna come down to the last possession, I would rather have my money on the dog because your upside is a little better.
Well, and in this case, this year, you're talking about the dog being Tom Brady.
Yeah, the GOAT.
I mean, come on, right? I mean, it's one of those things where it makes it really tough sometimes to bet against a guy like Brady who's been there so often, and he's never had this kind of weapons around him. I mean, look at what he has around him in Tampa Bay.
He lucked into it, or he picked the right spot.
He definitely did.
Bringing Gronk back too. I mean, gosh. I mean, he's got like Fournette. He's got Gronk. He's got on the outside. What's that guy's name? The receiver.
Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. He got Chris Godwin. Antonio Brown is the number 3
That's right. I forgot
receiver.
he got Antonio Brown too.
I mean, and then Scotty Miller who pulls that big play. But I do have to say, Scotty Miller, great play. Kevin King just played that terribly. The DB for the Packers. Yeah. Like, you got to keep everybody in front of you. Like, I don't know what he was thinking there.
Yeah. But I mean, he's got so many weapons.
It's a tough one. I think these teams come in pretty even. The defense for, it's funny because the defense for Tampa, for as much talent as they have, you would think they would be a lot more lights out than they were.
Yeah, no, that's why. Like, I agree with that. I give the edge on offense to Kansas City. I give the edge on defense to Tampa, but that doesn't mean it's not dominant. It's not like a huge edge. Right. Tampa's defense, for all the talent
that they got, much talent,
they haven't put it together.
And they have great coaching. I mean, it's not like they got guys coaching them that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you look at this front line. You have Sue, Vita Vea, JPP, Shaquille Barrett, Golston. You got these guys. You just got these guys here that can make plays. And sometimes when I look at this Bucs team, I think of what the Giants did to Brady when Brady was with the Patriots.
Yeah.
If this D line finds a way to take over, like this game might be really interesting. Might look a lot different than a lot of people are thinking it might look like.
It could, but at the same time, I don't think KC will be able to stop. Their defense will be able to stop Brady, though. Their defense is not that great.
Yeah, but speaking of that Giants team against the Patriots, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, defensive coordinator for the Giants in those games, and the game planning he can do, the way he disguises his blitzes, and it showed last year in the Super Bowl when they needed to play, when they needed to apply pressure, they were there. So it's hard to discount that experience that he has had and won Super Bowls with this kind of game planning.
True. It's a different team, though. You talking about Spagnuolo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the defense for the Chiefs, I mean, you got a bunch of guys that can make plays too now. I don't want to, Frank Clark is no slouch. Yeah. Chris Jones, you're talking Chris Jones, Frank Clark. You got guys on there that can make plays, big play defense.
I was surprised by that.
But looking at the game that they played in the regular season between Tampa and Green Bay, I had a hard time seeing Green Bay pulling it off, even though they were at home. And the proof is Tampa tried so many ways to let them back in the game in the second half. Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions in that second half.
Yeah.
Like, that's an ugly win, but it's a win on the road, so you take it. I mean, you're in the Super Bowl, A win's a win at some point. But, I look at the Chiefs defense and I see a guy like the Honey Badger. I probably expect to see him make a couple pretty big plays during this game.
Yeah.
Their corners have played well this year. They're kind of no-name corners, but they've played pretty damn well this year. So the front four is gonna have a lot to say on both teams, I would say, about in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the narrative of passing the torch though between Brady and Mahomes? It's going to be spoken of. It already has been spoken of a lot this week.
It has been. Yeah, it's going to remain to be seen because Mahomes is at the beginning of his career. Like, he's won 1 Super Bowl, which is great. Most people don't win one. But at the same time, he's definitely not on the same level as Tom Brady right now. Only time will tell. It could be. He's got. There's no doubt that he has the talent. There's no doubt he has the coaching, the offense behind him. There's no doubt he has the ability. It's just, will he be able to keep that consistency over time, I think, and have the team around him to be able to win Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Chiefs have guys signed up for a few years. They've handled their cap situation pretty dang well for the next couple years to try to keep this thing going. So we'll see. I think it's going to be one of the most entertaining Super Bowls we've seen in a while. I think last year was a pretty great Super Bowl as far as entertainment towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
You had guys, the missed bomb from Garoppolo to Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, you talking, they were slugging at the end of that game.
Yeah.
It was just, they kind of kept it interesting the whole time, and I think this game's going to be the same way.
Yeah.
So what you got? Pick-wise, what you got after all that? What are you thinking?
I told you, man, pick-wise, like I said, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to last possession. If it's going to be that, I would go Tampa Bay money line.
Oh, Royce, see, it is Tampa Bay money line.
Tampa Bay money line. If it's going to be within a field goal, you might as well just go money line.
So the money line right now pays out plus 150. That's pretty good.
That's not bad. I'll take it.
For every $100 you bet, you make 150 if it comes through. That's pretty good.
Yep, I'll put $1,000 down.
And then I think for me, I'm probably gonna put the money on the over to start the game.
Yep.
And I'm also going to put money on that prop bet on Darrell Williams to go over 13.5 yards receiving. And then the rest of the betting is gonna happen at halftime or live betting during the game, because I just kind of want to see how this game goes. I mean, the easy bet to me, if some Joe Schmo comes off the street and want to bet on this game, the easy lazy bet is KC and the over.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
And I'm like, how often does that work out that way?
Like never.
Right. And so I have that feeling for this game. So I'd rather go ahead. I'll bet the over, especially I'm going to go against the popular bet, the popular money pushing it down a couple points. I'll take advantage of that and flip it and go the other way and go over.
And what's
But the
the
rest
what's
is
the over under that you're looking at?
55 and a half.
55 and a
Come
half.
on now. Come on now. I feel like this game's going to be in the 30s.
That's basically 8 touchdowns, right?
Yep. So I see, when people say that, they count the number of touchdowns.
Yeah.
It makes it sound super insurmountable. However,
8 touchdowns is a lot.
there you go, and that's why. So that's what people start thinking, right?
Yeah.
8 touchdowns is a lot. But what if we get a game here where we don't punt the ball, which is very possible,
It's possible. It's possible, yeah.
and every possession is some kind of score? I don't need 8 touchdowns because every possession has some kind of points going up. It'll add up pretty quick at that point. The difference in this game might be a special team score for one of these two teams.
Yeah, could be.
Kicking wise, Casey has the edge on the kicking game also. With Harrison Butker, I like to joke is the second coming of Jason Elam because he was Paul Johnson's kicker at Georgia Tech, and he can kick the ball a mile, and he's accurate as heck. I think because part of my thesis is I'm not sure how many punts we're going to see in this game. I might want to go look at the prop for total punts in this game. If it's anything like over under 5, I'm going under.
Yeah, interesting.
Because if there's a team that if I really thought needed to score a touchdown, I can get it. As much as I love Brady, it's Mahomes and KC.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's not to say that I don't think Tampa is not talented and Tom can't get it done. He's too old and all this and that. It's just it is what it is when you watch both teams. I mean, Tampa, if Green Bay doesn't fumble in the beginning of that second half, they don't really do much in that second half of that game.
Yeah.
They really didn't do anything. So, does KC get stuck in those situations very often? Yeah. You kind of feel like they could score a touchdown anytime they want to.
Yeah, no, they're just that good.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I get swayed in the KC direction for the bet, but I'm not going to go there, especially with the hook on it with the 3.5. And it's 3.5 with a minus 120. So what does that tell you? There's a lot of money just going right there. The payout's a little less, so the juice is higher on that thing. Hard to go with the crowd.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking the same thing.
So I'll watch it. If it gets to the point where the live bet is KC -1, because they get down early in the game, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'll buy it. Both ways, to be quite honest. I might end up with bets on both sides. And I might just play both sides if the numbers work out the way they could, because there's going to be so much scoring.
Well, like I said, I'm taking Tampa Bay on the upside.
So Royce has got Tampa on the money line, plus 150. I have the over at 55.5. And Darrell Williams, over 13.5 yards receiving.
Nice.
Royce, what kind of food are you gonna be? What kind of food are you eating on Sunday?
Gosh, probably some pizza, I'm sure. Nothing too crazy.
Just gonna mail it in and just order pizza?
Just gonna mail it in, man. Mail it in.
Man, I got my steak going in the sous vide right now for Sunday. I'm gonna bring it because the hotel we're staying at has grills downstairs. I'll go and grill a couple steaks and bring it up to the room.
Wow.
Gotta have some kind of something going,
Yeah.
You're not making it happen at a hotel, man. You gotta make something happen in your house. Come on now.
I have a grill outside, but that's just gonna take away from me watching the game.
Yeah, it's called Before the Game.
I gotta watch the before the game stuff.
I think it's gonna be so weird, right? Look at this. A Super Bowl with no media day. How weird is that?
It's weird. Super Bowl with no people. Weird. I don't know. I'll probably just be texting a bunch of people.
Because in a normal year, there's a lot of noise around the Super Bowl in a normal year.
Yeah.
The circus around this game would have been insane had this been a normal year.
But this is not a normal year.
Nothing normal about it.
Normal about it. We were lucky we got last year's Super Bowl. Think about it.
But as we sign off today, Ethereum is sitting at 1658.58. Enjoy the ride, Royce.
Just
waiting for this. And waiting for 2K, and 2K might be welcomed with some drinks on the next episode if that happens sooner than later.
I think we should.
Have a little party. Be responsible out there, everyone. You see a profit you like, sometimes not a bad idea to take it and run. But remember, all the information that we provide here is just for entertainment. We're not really telling you what to do. We're not telling you to buy anything. We're not telling you to sell anything.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice.
At
just
all.
giving information in our perspective. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Ricey, anything else you got for them?
Have a great Super Bowl. Don't get too
Enjoy
drunk.
the Super Bowl. Don't get too drunk. Be responsible, but have a good time. Good days are coming soon, everybody. A few months away. With
Except for
that,
Steve, who's already good.
me and my 4 screens. Happy trading, everybody, and enjoy the Super Bowl. See you later.
All right, guys. See ya.